Hey, GLP-1 plus size community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Row now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at row.co/TV.
So here's the truth. I'm tired, but not like the didn't get enough sleep tired, although I have that too. I mean, the kind of exhaustion that feels like it's stitched into your bones. So for me, that's perimenopause. And honestly, also the high doses of GLP-1s haven't helped. And so I kept thinking, am I missing something? And it turns out, yeah, we naturally have NAD in our bodies. It's essential for energy, cellular repair, brain function. But as we age, we lose it, which of course is not fun. No bueno. That's why I've added NAD plus back in, and I've been going through Shed, which is a telehealth to do it, because this season of my life is about putting back what time or meds have taken from me. I'm not ashamed of it. Whether it's GLP-1, HRT, or NAD, I'm rebuilding the energy that I deserve to have. Now, listen, I'm not a doctor and I don't pretend to be one on this podcast. I always recommend checking with your medical provider to see if NAD is right for you. But if you go through Shed, you will meet with a licensed provider to be able to guide you safely. If you're feeling the same bone deep fatigue like I am, check out the NAD Plus with Shed. If you use my code, which is Kim40 at checkout, you're going to save 40%. It's also linked in my link tree. There's no shame in my game, just science, support, and reclaiming what's mine. I hope it works for you too. Welcome to the Plus Size Podcast. Hey,
Hi,
Kat.
welcome, Kim.
How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I am post a workout, so I'm nice and relaxed.
Oh, yeah. It really is good. It really is good. All right. Before we start riffing, let's tell everybody who we are. If you're a regular and you sick of hearing this is your cue to fast forward. If you're new, which we get every week, hey, I'm Kim. This is the Plus Sides Podcast. This is my co-host, Kat. We'll tell you a little bit about our stories, why we're here, and what we do. So this podcast is focused on metabolic health, specifically those who struggle with PCOS, obesity, type 2 diabetes, etc., kind of in that vein. We talk a lot about GLP-1 medications and focus on demystifying them with experts. I'm trying to bring you obesity specialists, endocrinologists, bariatric surgeons, the best in the field, the brightest minds that know more about this than anything else, because ultimately this is changing the game, the world, society as a whole. And I want you to have all of the information you need on your journey so that you can guide conversations with your doctor doctor and be able to advocate for what you need for your health. Kat and I have been on GLP-1s for 3 years. Personally, I lost 110 pounds, but I have had ups and downs on the scales, ups and downs with muscle, ups and downs with mental health, all of that on this journey. And it's because it isn't a weight loss journey at
Not,
all.
yeah.
I know it seems like it is, but it's not. And we'll talk about why that is today. So I'm so glad to have you. We talk about perimenopause and all the things. So we're so glad for you to be here. All right, Kat, who are you? What you do? Why are you here?
Hey, I'm Kat. I have been on on GLP-1 medications for, is it 3 years? 3 years
Almost
on the
3 years.
Mounjaro. I say
Okay.
things in my good Midwestern accent just for you, Kim. So,
Thanks. Oh, yeah, you know.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
a hybrid of having a Southern and a Midwestern accent. Sometimes it comes out in really weird ways. So,
Yeah. It's fantastic. I
but
love
I
it.
have lost 80 pounds now on a GLP-1. Um, and I can't wait to talk about this with with our guest, with our doctor, because I also went through the phases of regain, up and down, um, with my hormones and getting on the HRT and all that good stuff. So it is a journey. It's not just a weight loss journey; it's a whole thing.
It's a whole new
And
way of
we're
life.
excited to get into it.
Yeah. Let's talk about what all that equals. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. Let me invite in our guest. Hey, Dr. Spencer.
Hello.
Actually, you're not Dr. Spencer. You're Dr. Nadulski, but
Yeah.
I've called you Dr. Spencer from the beginning.
I always say Dr. Spencer because even though it looks phonetic, the Nadolsky, people screw it up. Call me
Sure.
Nadowski,
Well, you have a brother
Nadalowski.
too, right? Is he a
Yeah,
doctor too?
yeah, he's Carl or Casey, I call him, but Carl, Dr. Carl, yeah.
Dr. Carl, Dr. Carl, Dr. Well, lovely to have
Yeah.
you here today.
Yeah, thanks
Um,
for having me on.
He's easy to
yeah, you've
pronounce.
been here from the beginning. I mean, like with us, like
Yeah,
before.
the
Yeah.
the
So
Mounjaro coupon, I was using it very quickly right off the bat. So yeah, it's been a minute.
yeah. So let's fill everybody in. This is as I mentioned, this is educational and advocacy podcast, so we focus on both of those things. And we definitely want to make sure that our patients feel educated and empowered at the end of this. But I think the first thing to do is to talk about specifically who you are and how you help people.
Yeah, real quick. I grew up in an academically minded family. Both parents were teachers. Dad was
Great.
a wrestling coach, though, really into athletics. Used nutrition and exercise science to be good at athletics when I was younger, and then
Mhm.
went to college, wrestled at UNC, Chapel
Go
Hill. I was
Tigers.
actually a heavyweight. I was
Oh, wow.
267 pounds at my heaviest. I had a BMI of 31 or 32, if I remember correct. I'd have to do the calculations, but we can
Hmm.
talk about it, what the difference is between BMI and clinical obesity versus not.
Yeah, that's
W-
interesting.
Went
Yeah.
to went to med school. Everybody said you're going to be an ortho doctor because you're a big meathead guy, and that's what you're going to have to do. I hated ortho. I was like, this doesn't seem right. I like physiology, and
Mm.
so I was almost did endocrine, but I was
Hmm.
convinced to do family medicine to get people before they went to a specialist. I don't know if I made the right choice. I'm doing what I'm doing, like what I like,
Yeah.
regardless of it. But I really loved that. Loved obesity medicine. It wasn't really as a big field back then. You know, the surgery was there,
Yeah.
and the obesity medicine doctors that were around were just hammering people with phentermine at the time because it was,
Yes.
med
Yeah.
school. I was 2007 to 2011. I'd started going to the conferences early because I was so interested in it.
Yeah.
And so, but these incretins were out. There was Byetta, there was liraglutide, which is Victoza for type 2 diabetes. And so we were starting to get into some of that off label, but they weren't super effective back then. But they had a little bit of an effect.
Yeah.
And so there was potential seen there. So then I went to residency, which is the training you do after medical school. And that's where I saw the inefficiencies of medicine. It was like 5 minutes with a patient. It was just terrible. The medical assistant would take, 5 or 10 of your minutes that you had with the patient,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, you'd be left with 5, maybe 10 minutes if you're lucky before you had to go on to the next one. So I started developing, like, little business card things that had all, like, the little habits that I'd be like, "Here, take this," just a little thing, and have all the little habits thing, and back then, it was, I was in residency 2011 to 2014, and that's when a medicine called Qsymia was out, came out, which is the strongest non-GLP-1 medicine. It's phentermine and topiramate, but
Hmm.
phentermine by itself is only approved for 12 weeks at a time. Many people use it longer than that, but they studied it, and actually it was approved for chronic weight management. It gets around 10, 11% of weight loss, which is pretty good relatively to some of these other things that, like Contrave or some of these other medicines that aren't a GLP-1. But I was the only one doing it. My attendings, meaning the people, the doctors, older doctors that I'd learned from that are already graduated and everything, they never used any of that stuff. So I was kind of on my own, just trying to figure it out, trying to figure it out. But at that time, social media started getting big, so I really built up my own Facebook social media, and it was I look back at the memories, and it was just so stupid, but I was just basically patients would come in and just give little tips. Here's what I did with a patient, and so it kinda grew from there, not viral or anything, just kind of, reasonable advice, but at that point, I was like, "Alright, this is way more efficient than this archaic office model of medicine," and
Yeah.
very quickly,
Yeah.
like, tried to do private practice and all that stuff, and it was just it was terrible. So that's where I got involved with some startup companies. There was one called SteadyMD, if you ever heard of them, but kind of we started doing, I was all telemedicine starting in 2015, 2016. And then it was in 2021 when these like Google engineer guys found me on Twitter. It's like, let's do an obesity startup. We're gonna have you be our medical guy, and that was Sequence, if
Yeah.
anybody remembers that. So we
Yes.
started that 2021. It grew, but that was right when it's really the Mounjaro coupon thing. It was like
Yeah.
go
Mhm.
on TikTok and be like, nobody'd ever heard of this drug. Like, hey, so my patient a month ago started this drug Mounjaro. It's tirzepatide. You can look at
Mhm.
the trials were out for the obesity, the Surmount trials, but it was not yet approved for weight. So
Yeah.
I was like, I feel comfortable using this off label. So I'd be like, all right, this patient lost 20 pounds or whatever in a month.
Yeah.
And like, it was, the virality of it because people like,
Yeah.
what? Oh, and by the way, it's free because the manufacturer is giving it out with a coupon. We all know what happened then. Everybody started using it, went into
Yeah.
shortage. Anyway, they sold it, and people think that I own Sequence. I own a very small percentage of it.
Yeah.
Sold to Weight Watchers, and basically what happened was I wanted to develop a program that I had control of because
Yeah. Sure.
Mhm.
big corporate, I did not have
Mm.
control of
No,
things.
it's not
So
fun. I understand. I work for a
Exactly.
big corporate, so yeah.
I resigned and said, "All right, I'm gonna start over again," and that's where I am now. I
Yeah.
made it. It's called Vineyard, and essentially, I wanted to. Everybody wants their refills fast, right? And they want messages fast. So I said, I can do that, and give the care that I think the wraparound care that is needed at the same time. So that's literally what we're doing, and so I really I enjoy it though because we can
Hmm.
be faster and better. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
I
You
think
call it
that's the wrap up.
Vineyard. You call it
yeah,
Vineyard. Is
no.
it like what was the I'm just curious about the name Vineyard. Is it because like you said wraparound the way
Yeah,
that
it's
grapevine?
so okay,
It's
so
so
here's the
make us
thought. I was
one.
like, I wanted to price it slightly higher. So it's, I didn't want to price it like gouging people. But
Sure.
some of these doctors in New York charge like $3,000 to $4,000 for a visit, and they're literally not doing anything special for you. But I saw Row is $150 a month,
Mhm.
and they're the
Yeah.
top scalable version. So I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
I'll price it at 150 and just deliver just just a all around experience service.
Yeah.
And so, but I needed to position it at a little bit higher end than say the other telemedicine places out there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Uh, and I also, the other thing is I could call it you cardiometabolic USA online, something very like
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
this is what it is, but I wanted something a little bit more abstract sounding that was also a place where people thought that they could hang out that's also a little bit higher end. So I was like,
Sure.
what could do that? I was like, I like vineyards.
I
Th-
like that. Okay.
but people are like, but wait, the medicine helps you drink less, and a vineyard is where you drink wine. I'm like, I don't care. I like a vineyard. I like a good wine tasting.
Mm.
And anyway, that's essentially it.
That's
So
cool.
I like
Vineyard
it.
Yeah, I like it
From a
too.
marketing person, I appreciate it. I think it's great.
Thank you.
So, yeah,
Thank
very
you.
much.
I have a sister that works in agriculture, and her first foray into agriculture was a lot of vineyards. And so
Mhm.
we get this misconception that it's, definitely your high, I guess they call it high class, or, bougie drinking, but really it's farm work. Like, so I like that too. Like, it's people in coveralls, they're digging in the dirt. Like, it's ag, just like every
Yeah.
other farm.
Gotta put
So,
in the work. That's
Yeah,
right.
mhm,
I
Just
mhm.
like
like it.
putting in the work.
It's
So there
good.
you go. That's the story.
It's a good one. Well, I love that. I know. So I'll tell you. So Dr. Spencer's been on TikTok with us since the beginning, since we kind of started. I would say the doctors were kind of the founders of the community. Like we all sort of started to gather right
Yeah.
around the doctors that were giving us information around the studies. Like y'all were the first ones that were like, "Did you know that obesity is a disease?"
Yeah.
And we were like,
People
"No."
were mad.
I
People were
mean, we were like, "Are you
Yeah. I
kidding me?" Like, and you guys were like, "Yeah, like here's a study, here's what it says." And all of us were just like minds blown, like, you know what I mean? And people, especially people like Kat and I, have struggled our most of our lives, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember that. The only reason I'm doing this is because the way things work with our podcast, Dr. Spencer, is we have people that are at the beginning of their journey, we people in the middle, we people at the end. It just depends, but it is cyclical. We
Yeah.
constantly are getting like thousands of people, like just
Mhm.
in and out all the time, because we know most people are on these meds, like they're lucky like 8 months and then something happens, right? And so it's just constant. So we try to like cover everything as much as possible. I feel like the TikTok piece is really important because that is a lot of, and then like when I met with Madison from Bloomberg, she was like, the TikTok community, the patients, the doctors, you guys are driving this conversation. You guys are driving this movement. And I think that's true. And I feel like you were a huge, huge part of that. And with Sequence, especially, I have friends that use Sequence that said it was like the best. I have tons of friends that use Sequence. I think things change, just like you said, when big corporate comes in and they have a
Mhm.
way and they don't always listen and all of like that's just corporate America 101. So I get it. Right. But before that, people loved it. I mean, people loved the care that they got there. And I think didn't you guys also like try to help it get approved through insurance? It wasn't just they came to you and, the
Yeah.
described it.
So
You like worked with their insurance, didn't you?
big pain point for everybody listening that's gone through this is that, only 20-30% of commercial insurances pay for it right now, which is
Yeah.
insane.
That
But I
is.
understand that the prices and the costs of the drugs. And then the other issue is that insurances make you do what's called a prior authorization or pre-authorization, where you essentially have to ask permission
Mhm.
and basically justify sending in a prescription. Like,
Yeah.
if I want a patient to have a medicine, I should be able to do it. But the insurance is going, whoa, whoa, this is
Yeah.
expensive. Are you sure? Do they actually meet this criteria?
Mhm.
And unfortunately, it was a lot of work for primary care. It still is primary care doctors out there, and even specialists,
Yeah.
endocrinologists, all those different places.
Yeah.
I have friends that are just like, how does anybody handle this? So we go, all right, this is a big pain point. We need prior authorization specialists. And the thing is, when you look at tech startup things, like I'm not of this mindset, but it's always scale, scale, scale.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, then how do you figure that out? Reduce the pain point while scaling fast. So they developed ways to kind of use artificial intelligence types of stuff to try to fill out the forms faster.
Mhm.
That one of the issues is though there can be uh, inaccuracies when you
Sure.
do that. I'm still noticing I've tried to dabble in some AI and it just sometimes they're just places can't even it's like, no, that how did AI screw this up? You
Yeah.
need an actual human. So at Vineyard we use a human, but that was like one of the big things is we did have humans in the beginning at Sequence.
Mhm.
We had to because otherwise these other places they would screw it up and they'd come to us and we'd get it right. And so people thought we were magic. And it was like,
Yeah.
well, really, we're just filling it up like
Yeah.
correctly. It's not, this isn't magic, I promise. Because
Yeah.
some insurances, well, most insurances will just, it's excluded straight
Yeah.
up. You can do not pass go, do not collect $200. So
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, a big thing with us was like, hey, we're going to try to hold your hand in this process and do the prior authorizations and do them correctly and all that stuff. And there's a big pain point. Still is actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know when that's going to change. I think and that's, when we started the podcast, like our whole thing is we're going to get loud, but the whole piece of it is just because we're getting loud, we want to get loud with purpose and directions because we want to change
Yeah.
things. We want this to evolve. And I do think the pressure and the demand that's built, probably a lot because of TikTok and you and us, right?
Yeah.
And that engine because of how it works. And that visibility, I think that we've gotten from a press perspective and on these sort of major outlets. I think over time, I don't know how you felt about it, but I feel like before Weight Watchers got involved, because like I've done a lot of healing, but before Weight Watchers got involved, the narrative that was out there was that we were stealing it from diabetics,
Yeah.
right? That
As
was what
well.
was
Yeah.
there. As soon as soon as Weight Watchers got involved, and I'm thankful for it. Like I just am, and y'all know I don't like Weight Watchers. I'm sorry, but I
Elephant in the
am
room.
thankful for
Here we go.
it. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go.
I know. I love
As
it. I love
soon
it.
as it
Yeah.
happened, though, the narrative changed, and that
Mhm.
PR
It was
machine.
important. It was very
It
important.
was
That's good.
very important. It was very important. So I think that from like with the lens looking back, that acquisition and all of that sort of movement, whether how it landed or what went on during, it honestly doesn't matter to me anymore. But I think that it was very important in the
Yeah.
evolution of where things are now, with not only how things are seen in society, right? But also all of these other decisions that these companies are making based on that. Because if y'all know that if like Weight Watchers, which is sort of like I say it a lot, like sort of was like the diet culture retirement plan, because that way didn't work, right? Like that way didn't work for obesity, right? And it was like, okay, we got to fix this. It was the right direction to go. It
Yeah.
wasn't incorrect, right? I think that it was just you're going to need to get the new people coming in that maybe
Mhm.
don't have that history there, and there are lots of those people, right?
Yeah.
And so I think like there is a place for it there. If anything, they have the ability and the money to scale and do a lot of different things. But I think that it was very such an important piece of this story. And I just really don't know if you know how important you are to this. And I think that you've been like to me, to everyone, because of the changes that we've seen. I mean, we went from 3 years ago, Wegovy was $1,400 and now it's
Yeah.
$500. Like
Yeah.
that
And
never
the vial.
happens,
Yeah.
Dr.
Isn't it
Spencer.
correct?
That never happens, like
Yeah.
with medicine and with healthcare. So like sometimes these chips just fall like they should. And I'm so excited like that you're doing this again and you're offering this new solution, because I do think that like I have friends that use Vineyard and I have friends that use Sequence, and you were their doctor, and I hear nothing but good things, you know?
Oh,
So
good.
I think it's wonderful. And I just wanted, but it is important for, I think, for everybody to understand that you were essential for me, for Kat, for all of us, and anybody listening to where we are now, you
Oh,
know?
I appreciate
So
that. Thank you.
I really am thankful for it. Um,
We've come a long way.
we have
We
come a
really have.
long
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
You're helping move the
Um,
needle.
we I think that's something to talk about too, and you're great to talk about it with, is sort of around, movement and diet culture and all these different things around
Yeah.
best practices while you're on these medicines. I know Kat has a question to kind of start
Yeah.
there. If you want to go ahead, Kat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the old adage, eat less, move more, calorie deficit activity, is that old advice. But we have learned in the last couple of years that it doesn't quite apply in the same fashion while we're on GLP-1 therapies. Could you explain why the medication is more than just a calorie deficit tool and how it really works for people with metabolic conditions?
Yeah, so in the past, I mean, you said it before, like it doesn't mean it's Weight Watchers itself
Hmm.
doesn't work. It's just anything behavioral therapy is not going to resolve a population level obesity. We hear the anecdotes. I did it. I did keto. I did
Yeah.
counted my calories. I lost 100 and however many pounds, 200 pounds sometimes.
Right. Hmm.
And that's great. So for every one of you, there's however many, there's
Yeah.
90
True.
whatever, some
Yeah.
people that, lost 5% of their weight or something like that.
Yeah.
Either way, so the body fights back in multiple. Biggest one is appetite. So appetite will increase. And they've done this mathematically. The guy, Dr. Kevin Hawley, has a new book out called Food Intelligence.
Hmm.
If anybody's interested in that,
Oh, okay.
brilliant physicist has done the mathematical modeling of how when people lose weight, their appetites come up, 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 and it basically makes it next to impossible for, I would say, most people, not everybody clearly,
Yeah, clearly.
to be able to lose weight. And this is part of the disease process of obesity.
Yeah.
You were mentioning, like, why is obesity a disease? Well, just from a very face value of why things are a disease, there's usually signs and symptoms, morbidity and mortality involved. And so, like, yeah, when you look at obesity, yeah, a lot of those things are involved. So that's why they call it a disease. But the disease process, the pathophysiology, is partially from that adipose tissue or fat tissue,
Yeah.
can cause all sorts of things, inflammation, all things going on. But something happens in the brain when we develop obesity and then try to lose it through a calorie deficit, our
Mm.
bodies fight back. It's really annoying, and obviously,
Yeah.
uh,
Right.
for you
I get
all
it.
and for patients that have done this in the past, they've maybe have lost 50 to 100 pounds multiple times. Why
Mhm.
couldn't they keep it off? And in fact, when patients come in and start a medicine and they finally feel like they can keep it off, they're actually scared because they're like, it's never worked before. And I'm like, hey, we have years of data to show that, like, hey, 4 or 5 years, people are keeping the weight off with
Mhm.
these medicines. Stay the course, you're going to be good, unless insurance comes in and takes the medicine away, which
Mhm.
is a whole nother story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the medicine calms that appetite. There's also thought that, like, because then, okay, then if that would just be a calorie deficit, right?
Right.
However, there's something, people have this thought that it might help with the metabolic adaptations that occur. And the metabolic adaptations are basically, you take two people, say one person at 200 pounds, you take another person at 300 pounds. And again, these are exact same people, but just different bodies. That
Mhm.
person that's 300 pounds then loses 100 pounds, is now exact same body and activity and exact as the other person, but that person had just lost 100 pounds. The person that just lost 100 pounds will have a slightly lower metabolic rate. So not only are we talking about, like, appetite increases, we're talking about they're just not burning as many calories. So
Yeah.
there's thought that these medicines help with that. It's possible, like, and I have so many patients that say to me, like, I don't understand. I swear I'm eating the same amount now, but I'm using the medicines. And, like, well, they yeah, they help you eat fewer calories, but there's something, I don't know if it's the energy, I don't know what it is
Yeah.
exactly. And the researchers are looking into this. What they need to do is they'd have to put people in what's called a metabolic ward to know exactly.
Hmm.
They see things in rats, but then it doesn't necessarily pertain to humans. But
Mhm.
I'd say regardless, the medicine is treating that disease pathophysiology of obesity, and regardless of the mechanism, like, it's helping people do it in a way that, now here's where it'll get really interesting,
Okay.
Mm.
because people will say,
We love it.
you're doing it somebody does it the right way without the medicine.
Yeah.
Somebody
Oh,
does
man.
it with the medicine. It's very likely that the person that uses the medicine, and this might sound terrible to some people, the person that uses the medicine may actually have improved health outcomes than somebody who did it without the medicine.
Wow.
And that's because of the weight independent effects of the medicine. And that's why people are like, well, do you take it? I'm like, I don't take it because it's not indicated for me, but I could see a
Mhm.
world where everybody's taking these to prevent heart attacks and all sorts of the things that
True.
can happen that are powerful about these medicines. So, like, it's just part of the stigma, and we can get into the stigma of
Oh,
taking the
yeah, we're
medicine, but
gonna.
basically, the medicines are treating this, one of the underlying pathophysiologies of the disease of obesity, and regardless of the calorie deficits or not, it's hey, it's working, and it's keep helping people keep the weight off. Because the other thing is, I don't know if you notice this, people say after a few years, food noise is coming back, I'm a little bit hungrier, but they're not gaining weight.
I gain a little. I mean,
You gain a
a
little bit,
little.
but,
Yeah.
like, not a lot, even despite the hunger and food
15
noise.
pounds, which is, I
Mhm.
mean, if you lost
Yeah.
110, 15,
That's
you know?
small, but
Yeah.
are you stable now, or is it steadily coming back? Because
Well,
that's an
I started, exercising every day,
okay,
and now it's going down again, but
okay,
I don't feel, I mean, definitely I'm hitting menopause, perimenopause, like,
okay,
I'm going there, right? So, everything when I did gain it, it was all in my stomach. It was like,
interesting. That could be
right
that.
there.
So, perimenopause and menopause, there is this nutrient partitioning
Yeah.
effect where if you do gain weight, instead of it going to hips, thighs, or
Yeah,
muscle, it can be more concentrated around the abdomen, unfortunately.
yeah.
I don't we can talk about
Womp
your
womp.
health history and all that stuff if you
Yeah,
wanted to, but,
sure. Oh, yeah, we talk about it on here for sure.
okay.
Yeah, I think, Yeah, I think it's just interesting. I think that we see people, and then I was really curious about this. So I went back and looked at study data, and I saw that they said that there were some people that gained like even on the 3 year right mark, that gained like 5%. So it's
Yeah.
almost, and then I started seeing people in our community, like big creators that started with me, that they
Hmm.
were gaining 5, 10,
Starting to have a little
15
bit of
pounds
regain.
too. Because we were all kind of out sort of this living this everything in moderation, like
Yeah, yeah.
lifestyle. But I think that, and I would love to know your like take on this. It seems as you go through different phases of your life and your hormones change and your activity changes or whatever it is, you may need to continue to readjust.
Yes.
It seems like that.
So
I don't know though, because I've never been here before. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So essentially what happens is that, as you lose weight, your body starts fighting back harder, harder, just like I was kind of talking about. And the medicine
Yep.
will have this persistent effect that will fight that fight back
Yeah.
to fight your
Yeah.
body back. It doesn't mean that other things that you in your life that start throwing other variables in there
Mhm.
won't have an effect.
On weight.
So, for example, if a patient has a job change and they go from being XYZ, whatever they're doing, to then it's a sedentary job, or there's a death in the family, they get married, all those same things that
Yeah.
happen when you didn't take the medicine and you lost weight on your own,
Mhm.
those things can have an effect. Now, the medicine will help allow you to help you get back on track probably easier than before. Before, if one of those things threw you off,
It was
it's
over.
it's end game.
Yeah.
It's throwing you off completely. The medicine helps you hopefully stay on within the rails to get
Yeah.
completely back on track.
Agreed.
So, I had a patient. So I rarely see a large increase in weight gain unless something's wrong. So one time a patient was on the 15 milligrams and they gained like 20 pounds in like a couple months. And I'm like, okay, never seen this. I've never, ever, ever seen this before.
Yeah.
Well, the patient was on thyroid medicine and they hadn't had their thyroid checked in a while, and their thyroid was complete, like looked like they weren't even taking the medicine. So I had to readjust it, and so the weight came right back off, and they're doing great now. So all these
Hmm.
things, this is why it's really important to have a team,
Yes.
whether it's doctors, dietitians, whoever, at least people to kind of,
Yeah.
before you start regaining all your weight, to go back and forth, like, okay, how can I adjust in real time, as opposed to like retrospectively months later going, all right, I gained 10% of my weight. Now what? It's like, oh, we should have done something when you started gaining like 2 or 3% of your weight.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
that's
start
another
No,
story.
early.
I think
Yeah.
that
So
makes a
when
lot
it
of
starts
sense.
to like happen,
Yeah.
act early. Don't let it go. Right.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
I think that it's a common thing. So going back to one of our questions, that people assume, and I definitely think this is true with Mounjaro in the beginning with all of us. So those of you who don't know, who are on Zepbound or Wegovy now, and you don't know, Mounjaro was and is like tirzepatide. It's the same thing. It's just rebranded for obesity. That's what it, right? So in the beginning, we were all taking Mounjaro, which means we were taking off label,
Hmm.
which I think like 1 in 5 medicines or something is written off label. It's very common in medicine, but that's what Dr. Spencer was talking about in the beginning. But when that happened, a lot of us kind of that didn't know better were sort of rushing up in dose. And then others were like, no, we should try to take the time on the dose much because it's going to wear off. We would say the effect is going to wear off and it's not going to be effective and that kind of thing. So I think even people now, and the reason that is, Dr. Spencer, is because there are not enough doctors that understand this. They're just not. They're not. Like, we need y'all to educate these people, for God's sakes. But
Yeah.
regardless, like, there are not enough. And so they come on and they don't know these things, or they don't know to ask these things. But I think they're like, my doctor wants me to move every month because that's what the studies show, right?
Yeah.
But then a lot of times people are like, no, like this one is really effective for me. So like people that are listening, they're thinking about sort of goal weights, right? I think that there's no way that someone's coming and not talking about a goal weight.
Yeah, they always
Um,
do.
you know, I mean, I don't have a goal weight because I have no idea what that would even look like because I've
Yeah.
always been big. I just don't know. But there are people that's what they do because that's what the doctor says, like, what's your goal weight? Where do you want to be at? But ultimately, I think that what I've seen, and it's not just from me, like from people that have been on the show, not everybody's going to get to this like goal weight, especially if they've had like obesity a long time. So I
Mhm.
was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about effectiveness and the whole
Mm.
idea of these things wearing off, and then kind
Yeah.
of those relationships to goal weight.
Yeah, perfect. So when I allow patients to have goal weights, but I don't
Mhm.
proactively go, hey, let's set a goal weight. I go, do you have a goal weight? And they say yes. And I go, okay, tell me more about it. Why'd you pick it? A lot of times it's like an arbitrary number, not always arbitrary, but a lot of times it's like, well, I saw the BMI chart in my doctor's office and it said this should be
Yeah.
a normal weight. And I'm like, forget that for a second. Those are, I don't want to say they're meaningless, but in a lot of ways they're meaningless to that person that's in front of me. That
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Row now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at row.co/TV.
Month to month, box to box. This is how we live in the GLP-1 community. We never know when our coverage is going to get yanked from underneath us. Last year, it got yanked out from underneath me, and I had to go the compound route. I had to go to a telehealth. And what alleviated that financial burden a little bit for me was using my HSA card. I went to the hsastore.com to look for some electrolytes. ShedRx is there. ShedRx, the telehealth, is HSA approved and FSA approved. Ah! So I'm going to ShedRx, right? And I'm going to use my HSA, which alleviates a huge financial burden for me. And if you're interested as well, go to shedrx.com. They'll take great care of you. They've got fantastic doctors. And you can use the link down below in our link tree, or just go to shedrx.com and use my code, CAT50. Get your $50 off your first month.
Sure.
individual on a population level, sure, I suppose we can look at statistics, but the person in front of me, I'm like, let's find, and this is a Yoni Friedhoff, if you know who he is, Dr. Yoni Friedhoff.
Mm,
He's kind of an OG social media guy, not as much on it anymore, but he had a blog called Weighty Matters. He wrote a book called Best Weight instead
Best
of, and essentially, instead of like this normal weight or ideal weight, called it best weight. Basically, the lowest,
way.
healthiest weight you can get to without being miserable. That's while living a happy
Yeah.
life. And so I love it because like the patients will have some, maybe there was a weight they were in high school or college. And I'm like, well, what about like, and I get a lot of patients that have already lost their 20 or so, 30% of their weight,
Yeah.
and they want to lose another 10 or 20 pounds. I'm like, what if you didn't lose another pound right now? Would you be happy? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, why'd you pick that number? Like, I don't know. That's what I picked from the BMI chart or from college or
Mhm.
whatever. And I'm like, okay, let's forget about that number. And I'll go into kind of what we go into is
Mhm.
basically working on fitness and body composition and that
Mhm.
type of stuff. So these medicines, so semaglutide, Wegovy, the high dose of Wegovy, semaglutide, 2.4 milligrams, average of around 15% total body weight loss, somewhere around there. You can kind of
Yeah.
splice and dice the data a little bit depending on how you do it. But then you have categorical weight loss. And if you look, there are people that lose like 25, 30% of their weight on a semaglutide or Wegovy. Now, tirzepatide, zepbound or Mounjaro, zepbound is the obesity labeled version. And just an aside, it's so ridiculous that we have different brands for this.
So
It's
ridiculous.
it's a, some people think it's
Yeah,
a
really.
form of bias and greed because they can do all this stuff.
Yes.
Anyway, it should just be the same drug with different label indications. Whatever. I'll get off the soapbox.
Yeah.
Tirzepatide, though, at the high doses, 15 milligrams, it's around 20, 21% total body weight loss. You could get a little bit more depending if you extend the studies a little bit longer. The 10 milligram dose, actually, though, is still around 20%. It's like 19 point something.
Yeah.
But that categorical weight loss, how many people lose 15%, 20%, 25, 30%? It's actually more people hit those higher percentages. But on average, when a person comes in, let's say they're 300 pounds and they want to do tirzepatide or Zepbound, then Well, so 10% of their weight would be 30 pounds, 20% of their weight would be 60 pounds. So we say, look, this is around the average. Some people will do 30, 40. I have a patient that lost 50% of their weight, half of it. They
Yeah.
would have gotten down to, they got down to like from 300 to 150 pounds. Not heard of. So when people are listening to this,
Literally.
don't think that's going to be it.
Yeah.
Think more like average is going to be around 60 pounds or 20%
Yeah.
for you. Now, the rate of weight loss, this is where you can look at the studies. Now, this is where I agree with you, where like, yeah, they cranked them up. And now the new studies, by the way,
Mhm.
that they're doing, they're kind of letting people choose, like if they can go
Huh.
up. So the redefined study where they looked at cagrilintide, which is it's not a GLP-1 receptor agonist. It's an amylin analog. It's a different hormone that comes from the pancreas. They combine it with semaglutide. So this CagriSema, if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
They came out with that, and that one was really interesting. They let people titrate, and actually the people they let titrate themselves actually did better in the long run. And the reason maybe they're thinking is because they're more sensitive to the medicine, so they just allowed themselves to feel better during their whole journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the rate of weight loss that I shoot for is around 0.5% to 1% of the total body weight per week. And you can look at the curves and the trials. Looks like, some people lose faster or whatever. But the reason I picked that is because when you go past 1% per week, so let's say you're 300 pounds,
Mhm.
1% of your weight per week would be 3 pounds. So if you're losing like 6 pounds a week, hey, that's pretty fast. It can be water weight in the beginning. So we don't necessarily count those first few weeks or first month. But if they continue to do that, it's maybe need to be on a lower dose, because
Mhm.
after 1% of your weight, you do risk more muscle loss, and there's a risk of gallstone formations. You can get
Mm.
gallstones regardless, but
Yeah.
so there's no reason to go faster than that. And so then sometimes it draws out their journey longer, and we don't have the studies to confirm this, but I get patients that have been on it for like almost 2 years because we lengthened the titration process.
Yeah.
They're still losing weight. They didn't have side effects, and they feel better. So this is anecdotal. I think it'd be cool to see a trial. I don't know if they'd pay for this, but
Yeah.
I agree that don't go up if you're losing within that 0.5 to 1% and you're feeling great. If you're getting hungry though, and you're feeling kind of miserable, then go up, because preemptively you don't want to then make them miserable the next month, white knuckling it, whatever. But no need to go up unless you're hungry, or the other thing is if you're not losing weight. So that's how I do it.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that's really important that people are always wondering that, and that the gap is huge. Like ultimately there wouldn't be people like me on lives answering these kinds of questions if enough of the PCPs and stuff that are prescribing it knew the answers, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't give medical advice. I have a podcast I point people to. But what I will say is I talked with Dr. Spencer and we discussed this, and you should go watch that episode.
Yeah.
But that's what I
Agreed.
do, because it's such a big gap. And I think that if people when do I move up? So what I do is I will tell people what's your rate of loss? How
Yeah.
are you feeling? What's your food noise? How's your inflammation? How's
Yeah.
your movement? How's your mental health? Go talk to your doctor about those things and check your A1C.
Perfect.
And just to to empower them to push back on the doctors, because I don't think that, I'm just going to say it, I don't think a lot of PCPs are going to learn, right?
Yeah.
Unless we push sort of some of that onus back on them. We don't know, quit making me go to TikTok,
Yeah.
because I think that's really important. And I think that we see a lot of people that don't interview doctors and are led astray because we're just telling them as a, as a patient, what we know, but that could lead them in a really bad direction. So
Yeah.
I think I wanted to make sure we have documented libraries of specialists saying these things so people can come back to it and know.
Yeah. Perfect.
But I think that's really good to understand. So when you're talking percentages, so for us that don't math good, is that half a pound to 2 pounds a week?
So okay, so if
I love
you're
that. Don't math good.
yeah, it depends on your start. Do you mind telling me your
347.
So 347, 1% is around 3.5 pounds a week, and then it would be 1.75 pounds per week at the lower
Okay.
end. Now, though, as you got down, though, that the relative keeps going down. So once you got down to 300 pounds, you're looking at 1.5 pounds to 3 pounds per week, and so on and so forth. Once you get down to
Right.
200 pounds, it's 1 to 2 pounds a week.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So like I'm super curious because I for sure had stayed in a calorie deficit like for a very long time, like in the deficit enough to continue losing. But eventually my body was like, regardless of the deficit that I was in, they were like, this is it.
Yeah,
This is
it
it.
just that's where the medicine just
That's
basically
what the obesity.
hits the what the body's fighting back again. And then yeah, I know there's questions about food tracking,
Yeah.
and so
Like,
then there's ways
let's
to
go
go.
over
All
it.
right, do we
Well,
find ways
yeah,
to go past this? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like tracking without, some people are kind of traumatized by food tracking,
yeah,
kinda like that diet culture thing.
I
And I
am.
got
yeah,
in my back of my head out, I have another question for you. I'm gonna table it, but we wanna do this one first. So
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
um, so, yeah, how do we approach tracking that's helpful and doesn't hurt the old us?
Yeah, there are a lot of patients that will come in that are used to just tracking, whether they're using points with the Weight Watchers, whether they're
Right.
doing their own Lose It, MyFitnessPal, macros, what all the different things, all the different trackers that are out there. And I go,
Yeah.
I and you can tell there's a little bit of an obsession around it to where
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, I
Right.
think this is harmful for you.
Yeah.
I go, let the medicine do its job for now. Let's pull
Mhm.
back from it. Now, the caveat is that I protein and
Mhm.
fiber are probably the things that like would it if I told you to at least track the amount of protein and fiber in each meal, forget about the rest of the calories and let your
Mhm.
satiety and hunger cues do the rest. Can you do that? And they go, yeah, oh, yeah, that'll be a lot easier. So I do that. The
It
other
gets
way you can create what's called like a meal template or a my plate type of scenario where you go, all right, I want each plate to kind of look like this, and this is what 30 or 25 or whatever grams of protein look like.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of the way we do it. So
Yeah.
my dietitians, they'll dive deep. Some patients, they've never done the tracking thing, so then it's like we don't start that way. We let the medicine do its thing, but like later on, if we think that tracking could be beneficial, we'll have some patients do it. But in general, I if they have a long history of tracking and clearly
Yeah.
some disordered eating around it,
Yeah.
and psychological, I would
Yeah.
say harm, we
Yeah.
pull back.
That's
We're
fair.
not tracking.
Yeah. I think everybody's different, right? And that's something I realized too, because I in the very beginning I did track and then I did what you said where I was like, I'm just gonna track my protein.
Yeah.
And I still don't think I ate enough protein to be honest. And then for a long time, I really feel like and I've been on all the meds. And then the one I was on, I was on tirzepatide most recently. And that kind of got me the rest of the way, like to that sort of like 100 mark. I still have an obese BMI. I'm not sure that I'll get any small. Maybe we'll try with when we should probably talk about the two, like the meds that are coming down
Yeah.
and like how much more we think they could help. But is it necessarily just that they are helping the body work or the metabolism work in a good way as opposed to just making you eat less, right? Because I think everybody thinks, so what, that just makes me even eat less, when they think about like the new meds that are coming down, you know?
Yeah, the new meds coming down, so retatrutide, some people call it retatrutide. I'd
Mhm.
love to ask Eli Lilly, but so
Same.
it's what I because people
True.
say semaglutide, but
Yeah.
it's semaglutide,
Semaglutide, right? Yeah.
Semaglutide.
I
and
don't know. I don't know.
then people get mad
I use
anyway.
it interchangeably.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, tomato, tomato. I would say
Right?
retatrutide, even though it's retatrutide is easier to say. I don't care. That one has this so it's similar to the tirzepatide, where it has a GLP-1 receptor agonist component to it, and then it also hits this other thing called GIP, and they're what's called a co-receptor agonist. It's one long peptide molecule. It's not two ingredients put together. It's one peptide that can hit the different receptors.
Mhm.
This retatrutide hits three different receptors, and that third one is glucagon. And the thought is that this can actually crank up your metabolic rate and actually has a direct effect on your liver. And now I've had patients come from the clinical trials.
Mhm.
The clinical trials stopped, and now they're coming to me to get tirzepatide.
Mhm.
They've never been on tirzepatide. They've only been on retatrutide,
Mm.
and they're like, "This doesn't even like help with my appetite nearly as much as." So I
Wow.
think this retatrutide. I think people are gonna start melting their fat off. I mean, like, I'm kinda scared for
Yeah.
some of these
Right.
people that start at a lower weight. I'm a little bit worried that they're
Mhm.
gonna, because tirzepatide did the same thing. When people are at a lower weight and they crank that up, I've seen some people just, it's like, "Hey, you're a little bit frail now."
Yeah.
We gotta back off this dose.
Yeah.
But retatrutide, stronger. It's probably gonna be, 30 or so percent stronger than the tirzepatide or more. I don't know until the phase 3 trial, because the
Yeah.
phase 2, if anybody, they have preclinical and they have phase 1. They phase 2, phase 3 is what's going on right now. It's gonna be longer.
Mhm.
So we're gonna see, first of all, to make sure it's safe, because you gotta first do that.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna see really how powerful this stuff is. The other thing you might wanna consider, and this goes back to the did you ever take phentermine?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I
I'm
have a lot
taking
of
it all, bro.
you've
Taking
taken it
it
all.
all.
So
Well,
the
not with the
Qsymia.
fen, right? Remember
Yeah,
the
so
back in
so
the day?
fen for anybody listening, that was like the '90s. It was phentermine plus something called fenfluramine. The fenfluramine component, though, hit 2 different serotonin receptors, and one of it was HT2B for bad. It caused floppy valves in the heart. So they took that off the market, but the phentermine didn't do that. So phentermine is still available, but Qsymia, when they combine it in lower doses with the topiramate, I actually have a lot of patients on tirzepatide or zepbound,
Mhm.
and later on it's like, "Hey," I made a whole video about this. Do you actually need to lose more weight? Should we just focus on fitness and all these other things that aren't weight related? And clinically, we're like, "No, we do need to take another 5-10% of their weight off or more,
Mhm.
for whatever purpose." And so that's where I've been doing Qsymia in these patients, just low doses, and it
Mm.
works extremely well. So something to maybe talk with your doctor about, because
Yeah.
I've been doing that. Some people don't tolerate it though, so it just depends. People
Yeah.
like, I'm getting
Write that down.
insomnia,
Yeah.
dry mouth, all that stuff.
The
But
Qsymia is like phentermine?
so Qsymia has a lower dose of phentermine in it combined
Okay.
with topiramate, and topiramate works in a different way. People know it as Topamax. Dopamax kind of makes people a
Oh,
little
I've
bit.
taken Topamax before.
Topamax. Yeah, I used to think, okay.
So lower doses though, and extended release. So
Okay, okay.
the idea is fewer side effects, more
Yeah.
effects together.
Yeah,
Anyway, I
Okay.
can't promise you won't get side effects.
Well, sure. Can you
makes
ever?
sense. I mean, you get side
What
effects
about
with nicotine.
this? So I love the idea of like talking about combined therapies too. I have
Yeah,
heard people talk about the Wellbutrin plus what's the other one?
naltrexone. Yeah,
Naltrexone. So
yeah.
what's the deal with that?
Yeah, so bupropion, everybody knows it as well. Butrin, it's a dopamine norepinephrine drug that's used for mild to moderate depression,
Mhm.
also used for smoking cessation. And that was something kind of interesting, that people found, decade or two ago.
Yeah.
So people notice that that's like the one antidepressant that help people lose weight, but it's just a little bit of weight loss, and then once they lose that weight, they regain it. So what the researchers found is that it hits a part of the brain that's actually responsible for satiety, but there's this auto feedback loop. It gets kind of complicated, but one of the things that happens is that this little uh, opioid is released from the brain and then down regulates it. So, but the naltrexone part is an opioid blocker. It's also used for alcohol cessation. So the other idea is that combining the smoking cessation drug with an alcohol cessation drug, they have synergistic effects in the brain for satiety, but then also that whole reward pathway. You know how people talk
Yeah.
about like my addictive like behaviors are gone with a GLP-1.
Oh,
Well,
mine were.
these drugs, these drugs
Yeah.
can also have an effect there. Side effects, people get some anxiety. It may not be super. Some people respond extremely well to it.
Yeah.
Other people, they just get side effects. So it's not a powerful drug, but it is an option, especially. Have you guys noticed that some of these people on high doses of Zepbound feel like a little lack of motivation?
That's my next question for you. Hey, that was me.
Hey, so
Yes.
so I not
Interesting.
enough people are talking about this.
No, they're not. It's
And
very
I don't
concerning.
know why, because I've had now dozens and dozens of people, especially after I made a little TikTok that a ton of people were
Oh, yeah, I was
were
sharing that shit
were
out
were
everywhere.
yeah, so then all of a sudden I had more patients. So I don't think people are asking about it, and so what people
Mm,
assume is that, I don't know, I just, um, they don't tell the doctors. I can tell because now I'm starting to ask them,
yeah,
and I'm like, "How's your mood? How do you feel like doing the hobbies?" They're like, "You know what? I used to love going to this concert, and I went to this concert. I just didn't feel like it. I went home." Or, "I used to love working out, and now they're not working out." And I'm like, "Okay, that's the opposite of what we want. I used
yeah,
to like cooking food. I used to like doing this, and I just don't feel like I just kinda wanna sit on the couch." And I'm
yeah,
like, "Are you suicidal? Do you feel depressed?" And they're like, "It's not depressed. They
no,
just feel
yeah,
a lack of motivation."
yeah,
These drugs work in parts of the brain that are related to reward and motivation, and so,
Wow.
some of that is an overdrive, so the drugs work well, but sometimes it dampens it so much
yeah,
that I mean, I'm seeing it so now, so if they're on the 15, I bring them down to 10, some and a half, 5, but then problem is the food noise starts coming back.
yes,
Then I have to, and so then I have to crank it up, and then sometimes I add bupropion, which helps in that same pathway to kinda boost the
yeah.
dopamine. It starts getting a little wild there, but that's,
It's
anybody
a complicated
listening,
disease. Like, I
it
mean,
it
that's what I hear, right? Like,
It's
we've been
complicated.
yeah,
saying it since the beginning. It's a complicated to treat, it's hard to treat, and I think that wouldn't it be great, Dr. Spencer, if there was just one medicine that
yeah,
just can treat and solve obesity and all
I
the
know.
things, but there's not. So I
Not
think that
not yet
it's
anyway.
right,
Nothing
not
but
yet,
easy.
not yet, right,
Maybe
exactly.
50 years, maybe multiple
Yeah,
honestly, the stuff coming down the pipeline is insane. Now, the thing is, I don't want everybody to get excited because just yet, because, like,
yeah,
they gotta study
Mhm.
these, and when you start adding little components, so, yeah, it looks like GLP-1 reduces heart attacks, and it looks
right,
like based off the top line results of this newest one with the Mounjaro, it looks like the GIP component doesn't negate the lowering of heart attacks, and it might actually help reduce death.
wow,
But what they're gonna have to do is keep studying that one, then they're gonna have to study that glucagon component to make sure that one doesn't have harmful effects that negate the other effects, and
yeah,
every time they do this, they're gonna spend millions and millions of dollars, but hopefully we find, and everybody's an individual because, like,
yeah,
everybody says, "Well, we solved obesity." It's like, I have patients that don't lose a pound on the highest dose of tirzepatide, and
crazy.
it's
Why
like,
do you think that is?
I so there are a couple thoughts.
Mhm,
Some of these patients have a genetic issue, and some of them are very, like, in your face genetic issue. There's monogenic deletions in either their leptin or, another part of that brain
Yeah.
that's related to satiety. It's a little bit downstream from where the GLP-1 will hit. So if the GLP-1 goes up here and there's a defect higher up, they won't be able to lose any weight from it. But
yeah,
some people don't have anything pop up on their genetics. There's got to be some sort of resistance going on of some
yeah,
sort. The other thought is that they might not be getting enough into their system. And you know how some people inject in different spots and feel like, oh my God, I'm getting side effects when I inject it into my thigh or abdomen versus the
yeah,
other.
for sure.
I have a feeling it's because they're absorbing way more in one spot versus the other. So I have
Yeah,
a feeling in some of these people, and we can't commercially check people's tirzepatide levels.
yeah,
Mhm.
I have a feeling they're not getting enough into their system.
system.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of.
When they take them, do they feel the appetite suppression at all? Or
No,
no, they don't feel anything?
That's
nothing.
interesting.
They're
Could it
like,
be, and
yeah,
here's a question, is it, how, like, we shrink and our fat cells shrink.
yeah.
Could it be because we get less fatty? There's less fat for the injection to
Oh, I
swim
do always
through?
wonder that the people that are very skinny that are doing maintenance and they're, like, trying to find some fat.
Yeah. They're
I'm
going
like, "What is
intramuscular.
that like? I
Could
can't
that have
even
a bearing
imagine."
on it? Yeah,
I
does that
know.
have
I got it
anything?
everywhere.
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I feel like there's gotta be some genetic resistance going on. They haven't it's a
Who
probably
knows?
a $1 trillion question. I know the big pharma is spending a lot of money trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Little old me with my, however many patients
Yeah.
and TikTok anecdotes, probably not gonna be able to figure it out, but I do genetics on a lot of these people, and nothing
Mhm.
common pops up, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think it's, and you can I'll take this out if you don't wanna talk about it, but is Vineyard gonna be offering compounded solutions, or are you guys only prescribing, like, brand or cash
So
pay?
so here's where there was a company called BPI, and you may have heard of them. They're the ones that Hims was using, and I don't like Hims particularly, but I vetted them out quite a bit. The thing is, legally, I don't want to get into any. I don't want Eli
Literally.
Lilly showing up at my door.
Yeah.
And the thing, I'm crossing my fingers
Yeah.
with Lilly Direct. I am just you and I've gone back and forth on Instagram about this, about like, here's what they need to do. They, instead of fighting these compounders, they should go, we're going to make this drug $100 a month, just like every other country.
Mhm.
They can do it. They can
Yeah.
do it. There's no reason they can't do it. And so
Agreed.
and then if people still can't afford that, and then insurance can pay for it for them. But
Right.
like,
Yeah.
most people could afford $100 a month of a cash.
For
Now,
something
even
this
even
yeah.
going down to 200, that's going to be a lot better, because
Yeah.
like right now, the low dose at 350, it's fine. I have a lot of patients using the $500 a month, and they will find a way to pay for it because it's
I
so
will.
life changing.
Same.
But
Yeah.
there's just a lot of people that just $500 a month. That's a lot of money. That's a
It's like
car
I would
payment.
say that the average person, and even like I think about it, like definitely in I would say the other communities, right? They for sure cannot afford even $100 a month. Like there
Yeah,
are people who, like, you know what I mean? But it still would lower it to the point. I'll tell you what I think it is. I think the reason they don't is, one, every second of every day they're making so much money,
just
right?
I know.
Around the world, but especially
Mhm.
here. And
Ugh,
they'll wait until the very last second till they have to. And I also think, and this is just my opinion. And also that when it comes to like the price, if it gets too affordable, and that's what they're going to have to figure what that is, right? And
yeah,
to me, it's the $100, $200. That's
yeah,
too affordable. We will hit shortage.
yeah. I think
And
you're
then
right.
all this will start all over
I
again. You know what I'm
I think you're
saying?
right. So
I think that's
I'm
what it is.
holding out for here's what I think. I think if I can just hold out for a few more years, I think the supply will be just so in demand. The newer drugs, Amgen and their Maritide, and some of these other, someone's going to come in, or Forglipron, the small molecule
Mhm.
GLP-1 pill that Lilly does. Someone's going to come in and disrupt this. I hope it's Novo Nordisk, because like
Yeah.
they're not doing well. So
No, I
they
know.
should make their
True.
semaglutide cheap.
They
Uh,
could change.
I
I
know,
mean, man, if they made it cheap, they would slay.
I
And
know.
just go back
That's
to the
what
damn Ozempic pen. That was so
I
fantastic.
know.
Like,
And then you can get their little micro doses and in between
yes.
personalized doses. I know.
Then bye-bye compound. Then nobody gives a crap. Like I have many, many, many friends on compound, right?
I
But
know.
ultimately, I want everybody to pay $25 and get brand. That is
Yeah,
my goal, and that's what I work for, right?
I
But
know.
I also understand the need for it, and
Yeah,
I do think that there are some doctors, and I've heard them say, and I take everything into consideration, right? They've said like, hey, this is not that kind of disease where, you know, you're not like dying at that level or whatever it
right.
is that like it would really justify doing the compound. I would tell you that probably everybody that has obesity would disagree, right?
Yeah,
And I think that that's the piece of it, right? I think that's missing is the understanding of the suffering that we go through with this disease. Like it is incredibly painful,
yeah. So
mentally and physically,
it right.
So
So
yeah.
because I was always like, I don't want to prescribe the company. And they're like, well,
Yeah.
it's easy for you to say you don't struggle with the obesity. I'm like, I get it. I mean, I
Yeah.
get it.
Sure. I get
If
it.
I'm not in your shoes, so like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put you down for it. I just, from my
Yeah.
personal leak, like, man, if Eli Lilly or Novo started
Absolutely.
throwing these cease and desist, I'm like, oh, come on, and they start
Yes.
like, I don't have enough money to
You're
fight
already
these guys.
seeing it, right? I understand people not wanting to do it. I think that what the benefit is exactly what you're saying, is that they offer it now at 500, right? Between 350 and 500 for
Yeah,
getting brand name, right? And I
yeah,
think that it's not low enough, but it's there. I
yeah.
think that's what it's going to stay for a while, honestly. But I mean, if
Cheaper,
you
not
can
cheap.
do that, then your license is protected, your
Yeah,
patients are protected. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, you got a life and a family and a business.
yeah,
Like, you got to do what's best for you. I was just curious if you guys were or not.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
If another shortage came and
right.
I had to, 'cause like, everybody's like, "Well, just put them on a non-GLP-1." Get out of here. I would be looking at a 503B pharmacy. That's what it was intended to do, to fill
Mhm.
the gap
Yeah,
of the shortage. Would I start putting people that were that don't have it. Because here's the issue. A lot of places started giving it to people that they know they didn't have insurance, so that once the compounding thing is over, how are you gonna get them help? And so, like,
Yeah.
these are ethical
Small
dilemmas
makes
I
Sure.
difference. Yeah.
struggle with.
Yeah, I will tell you, so my mom was always on the line with obesity, but struggled considerably, and she's just turned 70, this week. And she always sort of struggled with 20 pounds. Like, it wasn't about like 20 or 30 pounds. She's an average sized person, an athlete. I mean, like, all the things. And she struggled with weight kind of back and forth and food noise and all of those different things. But it wasn't until stress happened in her life where my dad had cancer, my sister had cancer, and it was all within a couple of years of each other. And she was the primary caretaker for that situation. And she was like, it's the only thing that gives me pleasure. And so she tried Contrave, but Contrave or Wellbutrin, but actually raised her blood pressure. So she couldn't do that. And so she
Yeah,
tried different things. She sees a doctor that you and I both respect, I think, a lot. And that's a specialist. And what he worked out for her basically is to be able to get it from overseas.
yeah.
And I talk about it on the
Mhm,
show overseas and get the
yeah,
quickie pen and
mhm,
be able to do the lower dose and be able to maintain the weight loss that she had and the
yeah,
food was that she had, which I think it's sad that we have to
I
do
know.
that, but I'm also really thankful that he did that for her. You know what I mean?
I'd say 5 give it 5 years. It's a long time, though, so I
Yeah,
understand why people
it's a long
are
time.
scrambling in the meantime.
Yeah. I think that's what it is too. I think you're right too, is it's like we wanna give it this time and I ultimately though, especially those who had our disease had progressed significantly, right? It's very much like, I don't know if I have 5 years. Like, I mean, none of
Yeah,
us really do ever, but specifically with this disease,
I
I mean,
know.
it's so horrible, you know?
Yep,
And I don't think it gets clearly or really the recognition of how awful it is. And like we went to Obesity Action Coalition conference, Kat and I a few weeks ago, and
Vineyard
one
was
of the
there.
doctors on the stage
yeah,
came on and said,
Yeah, Vineyard was
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Oh, wasn't you there?
Summer was telling me about it, yeah.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah. But one of the doctors, what was the doctor's name again, Kat? You always remember it, and I don't.
Dr. Kushner?
Dr. Kushner.
Dr. Kushner, yeah.
Yeah. And he made this statement that I thought was really good. He said, like, obesity is what causes, I think
Mm,
he said it that way, the
yeah.
overeating. It's not that you overeat and it causes the obesity, like especially once you're at that point, right? And I think that's very misunderstood by even people that have obesity. I don't
Yeah,
think that they understand that. You know what I mean?
internalized bias is what it's called.
Yes,
Yep.
Yeah.
They went
absolutely.
over that too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Do you
indeed.
feel like I wanted to give you some space to talk about bias a little bit before you go?
Yeah, is it the
Let's
gist
talk.
is that, you know, the thing is I had it when I was younger, so, like, I
Oh,
don't get
that's okay.
mad at people
Yeah.
about it. I try to help them go through my thought process a lot faster, though, and
Yeah.
so with social media it's made it a lot easier to do that. You show the stories, you tell the stories,
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
and when you see enough of these of the stories, you start understanding it. But people, it's like a ingrained in childhood. I have to change words
Absolutely.
of books that I read to my kids from Roald Dahl and
Yeah.
Yeah.
James and the Giant Peach and some of these things. I'm like, I'm reading it. I'm like, I got to change this because they're calling someone fat and portly or whatever they're doing. And I'm like, oh my
Right.
God. And I think at an early age. So now I think it's going to get better, but
Yeah.
it's now these medicines have actually helped a lot with it because
Mhm.
now it's like people know what it feels like at least it's somewhat to feel like what it's like to someone that's never struggled their weight and how their appetite and satiety and food noise must be like. So, yeah, that's kind of the gist.
Yeah. I think you're right, and I think what's important about bias in general is to understand we all have it for ourselves and others, and
Yeah.
it is a human thing. It's about recognizing it and then
Yep,
trying to make changes accordingly, and
exactly.
I think that's where we're at, and for the doctors that, were like that in the past or humans, as long as they've made the change, like, I don't have a problem. It's willful ignorance, like, when you don't wanna learn and you don't
Yes.
wanna change that I struggle with,
Yeah,
but, like, if you're willing to learn and change and grow, then
totally.
I am too, 'cause Kat and I are always talking about how we're growing, especially on
Yeah.
this journey. This is more, I swear, Dr.
It's
Spencer,
a
the
journey. It's a
emotional
marathon, not a sprint,
journey.
my friends.
Well,
That's
it's like
right.
Right?
there's a tremendous amount of trauma that comes with living in a big
Yeah.
body in this society. There just is, right?
Yeah.
For many, many, many reasons. And I think that when you're going through on this journey and sort of part of it is getting solved for, what do you do with this part? right? And I don't know, so that's where I think like therapy and, different, like, I don't like saying lifestyle changes. I feel like you have to, unfortunately, 'cause I don't know what else to call it. It needs a new brand.
Yeah.
But I think the whole idea of just this is a new lifestyle. It's a healthy lifestyle for you that works for you, right?
Yeah.
And that could be like look like whatever it looks like. But like for me, it's exercise every day. For me, it's trying to do
Mhm.
everything in moderation with protein. For me, it's therapy. For me, it may be additional medicines like Wellbutrin because I've been struggling with depression, like things like that. So I think that like that will always change and like your will ebb and flow. But it's weird, like when you have that, just like one space, right? Where you're like, this is, I've lost the weight and what do I do? And so I think this has all just really, really been very helpful. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
Can Kat
thanks for
ask you
having
her
me
one
on.
last question and for
Well,
you to tell us where to find
I
you?
had another question, but this one, it's the funny one. So every March, who do you root for? The Tar Heels or the Hokies or the Rams?
Tar Heels and Spartans, Michigan
Oh,
State, and I'm a Michigan
oh,
State.
okay. Okay, good. That's fair. We'll
Yeah,
like you.
yeah.
All
Some
right.
Tar Heels.
Let
Anyway.
us know. Let us know where people can find you and follow
Yep.
you and
So,
where they can find Vineyard if they're looking for care.
yeah, Instagram, Dr. Nadolsky. TikTok is Dr. Spencer. I'm on Threads a lot if anybody likes that. And then, yeah, my clinic is just joinvineyard.com. So take a look.
There we go. And
All
I'll
right.
put all of those links in the show notes, friends. And let's just
Thank
thank Dr.
you.
Spencer
Thank
for
you. Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thanks for
Great.
having me.
Yay.
Thanks for
Thank you so
having
much, Dr. Spencer. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Good episode. What do you
That was
think,
great.
Kat?
It was wonderful. Very,
Yeah.
very useful and useful information.
Yeah, that was
It
good
was
stuff.
great.
Well, he's been here from the beginning, right?
Right
Like
from
I
the
was saying in
beginning,
the
he was an
beginning.
OG.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean, I can't tell you those who are listening now, if you're just on the medicine or even just a year, 3 years ago, guys, when we were on, we had him and some other doctors. I don't know if you guys follow, if you don't follow Weight Doc on Instagram and TikTok, you should. Weight Doc is her name is Jenna. She's been on the show since on one of the first 5 episodes.
Jenna Skywalk.
Absolutely an
It's
incredible doctor,
yeah,
makes
Dr.
amazing
Jenna.
content. Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's also very kind, but she is great. And her and Dr. Spencer and some others made things that changed our lives. It's why Kat and I are here making this show. It wasn't just because we
Yeah,
took the
I
medicine and
found
lost
her
weight.
first.
Yeah, you did. Weight
I
Doc.
found Weight Doc first.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Dr. Spencer, a couple others. And
Albert.
I think like just hearing somebody say that, right? It's not your fault. Like this is a disease. Like no matter how you got here, right? No matter how it happened, ultimately you are here. And it's not your fault that you can't solve for it on your own. It's not your fault and you do need help. It doesn't mean that you don't need to move your body and that you don't have to think about your protein and you don't have to
Yeah.
consider your nutrition.
You
That
just don't have to white knuckle it,
you
you
just
know?
don't have to suffer. That's what it comes down to because you are suffering needlessly when you don't have access to care like this,
Mhm.
you know? And
You feel like you're
hearing
clinging
this,
on to
yes.
like a doorway in a hurricane. Like
Yeah.
it feels, yeah, it takes that terror
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that it's important to hear perspectives on compound. I really do, guys. Like I think it's important for you to know because here's the thing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, not all compounds are created equal. They're just not. We know there are other ones out there. We know we have many, many friends in gray market because they don't feel like they have another choice. They are sick people that are desperate and need medicine. All those people are welcome here to learn from these doctors. If anything, I want to make sure that you guys have like this is just a really good library of resources for all the information that you might need. You may notice lately that we're trying to change our titles as almost like FAQs so that you can find what you need a little easier than in the beginning when it was just like, I don't know, fun titles.
I
So
know.
yeah.
Yeah, we were a little goobery.
Yeah. So we were so glad to have Dr. Spencer and so thankful for his contribution to this movement because it has been
Yeah,
significant. It has been significant. And
he really helped move the needle. So
he
we're
really did.
helping to move the needle.
Helping to move the needle. Yeah, helping lead to move the needle. Like we talk about all the time, this is a movement. I know that you listen, you come on the podcast, you listen and you hear these things and I run my mouth like we all know I do because I'm so passionate about this, but like ultimately it really is. Like we have moved a needle that people never move this fast. And I promise you, it isn't just because of all the rich people in the room being rich together going, let's get rich, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, for sure. Those people exist and it's important. But the pressure that we put for our voices is
Mhm.
very important. And whether that is creating content or commenting or engaging with our content or other people's content, we are part of this algorithm. We are part of the change right now, and it is moving. Like when Kat and I went to, so I got to talk on the Hill. So when we were in DC recently, what we talk about and TROA and the medicine and all the things, it's on the lips of lawmakers. Like, say what you want about the president, because say what you want. But regardless, he is the president and he is talking about it. And so for me as an educator, right,
The
in
fat
this
shot.
area,
You know what? I'll be
an
the fat
advocate,
shot. I don't care.
I don't care. I think that our goal as we go forward, especially Kat and I as advocates, right? We need to be able to talk to whoever we're in the room with that's in charge and educate them in the way that we know from a patient perspective. And then of course, the additional things we've learned from the doctor. So our doctors on our shows. So I think we want to change things. We want to change policy. And for all of you that helped us get there to donate so that we could get there, we appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So good episode. I hope you guys learned a lot. I'm making sure that Dr. Spencer's, all his stuff is in there so you can follow him. And if you are looking for a telehealth that goes that route with insurance and stuff, and, it's like he was saying, he was comparing to Row. He's very honest about it. So it's very similar. But you just, it's an option, guys. Like that's, you notice all the time. I don't ever just go, this is the only option, because you need a different option with your care, right? Like, so that's why I do it that way. And I'm in a place where Kat and I can do that, where we don't have to be exclusive, and we can say we have a couple of partners to be able to help you, get care and save money. And that's what we do. So when you see that, that's why. We also like Shed. Big fans for the compound.
Big fans. If you need
big fans of Shed. You will see us
use your
throughout
HSA.
this episode talking about Shed, because we love Shed.
Your HSA and your FSA.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Oh,
To
I didn't
help
ask
alleviate some
Shed.
pain.
I bet he does.
You what now?
I didn't ask him if Vineyard accepts HSA and FSA.
Oh, darn it. Yeah, that's a big.
That's okay. I'll find out. All right. Good episode. You are not alone. Clearly, it is not your fault. Not your fault. Okay. And it's complicated. So if you start gaining weight, try not to put it on yourself. I do. I do. But then I remind myself because of all the things we learn here, right? Don't you think, Kat?
You got anything else you want to say? We're here to learn.
Got anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
Oh my gosh, that was great. That was covered everything. And
too. Yeah.
Dr. Spencer roots for the Tar Heels, so we like him in March. So
see, I don't know who that is,
but
what that is. Basketball, I suppose, because it's March.
It's basketball season, yes. But Dr. Spencer did wrestling. He was on the wrestling team.
I'm not good with sports ball. Sports ball. I know.
But anyway.
Anyway. All right. We love you guys. We will see you next week. We've got some really good stuff coming. Also, not spoiler. Make sure you're following Medscape, because yours truly is going to be all over that soon. Yep.
Oh, and as well, it may not be in chronological order when you're watching, but we have a style episode coming up, and I get styled.
I think it will be. I think it is chronological. This one's next week.
Okay, good. So style. I get consulted,
which Kat produced,
and she helped me. I was styling at the OAC in DC.
Yeah, you were.
A lot of those ensembles we put together.
Also, Kat made me outfits. She brought me stuff and styled me because I was like, I don't know. And I've gained weight and it's all in my tummy and wah. And she was like, girl, I've got a dress for you. And then I was looking super cute. Yeah. So it was lovely. Like it's about what makes you feel good. And I think finding your style is really important.
And a lot of us, we have not even thought about creating a style. We've been trying to hide ourselves and shrink and hide our bodies. But you can dress for whatever size you are at.
And then I think the way we're doing that episode, you have to remind me if I'm wrong, we'll have the audio version. So those who are listening to audio, but in the audio version, we will have a link to the YouTube where you can see Kat going through actual style with the stylist. So it's sort of like a part 2 additional. It didn't cost anything. It's just not going to be on YouTube only. So you can go to the show notes and figure that out. And we'll make sure you know that in the episode. All right. I'm hungry. Good lunch break. Let us all go back to our day jobs. Huzzah. We love you so much. We'll see you next week. Hasta la pasta.
Hasta la pasta.
So here's the truth. I'm tired, but not like the didn't get enough sleep tired, although I have that too. I mean, the kind of exhaustion that feels like it's stitched into your bones. So for me, that's perimenopause. And honestly, also the high doses of GLP-1s haven't helped. And so I kept thinking, am I missing something? And it turns out, yeah, we naturally have NAD in our bodies. It's essential for energy, cellular repair, brain function. But as we age, we lose it, which of course is not fun. No bueno. That's why I've added NAD plus back in, and I've been going through Shed, which is a telehealth to do it, because this season of my life is about putting back what time or meds have taken from me. I'm not ashamed of it. Whether it's GLP-1, HRT, or NAD, I'm rebuilding the energy that I deserve to have. Now, listen, I'm not a doctor and I don't pretend to be one on this podcast. I always recommend checking with your medical provider to see if NAD is right for you. But if you go through Shed, you will meet with a licensed provider to be able to guide you safely. If you're feeling the same bone deep fatigue like I am, check out the NAD Plus with Shed. If you use my code, which is Kim40 at checkout, you're going to save 40%. It's also linked in my link tree. There's no shame in my game, just science, support, and reclaiming what's mine. I hope it works for you too.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Row now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at row.co/TV.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.